In Rome, the army was not just strength, but a perfect system that turned citizens into a disciplined war machine. The secret lay in extreme discipline, where every Roman soldier learned to obey as part of a living mechanism. The legions were organized into flexible formations that adapted to any type of enemy on the battlefield. While other armies relied on brute force, Rome invested in engineering, standardized weapons, and flawless logistics. Roman roads allowed troops and supplies to quickly reach any frontier of the empire. Discipline was enforced through severe punishments that ensured absolute obedience within the legions. In the testudo formation, soldiers aligned their shields, creating an almost impenetrable barrier against projectiles. The Romans also mastered military intelligence, using constant reconnaissance to predict enemy movements. The true strength was not in weapons, but in the logistics that sustained every campaign without visible failure. Weapons and armor were standardized, allowing rapid replacement and efficiency in any military campaign. They built bridges and fortified camps in record time, even in hostile territories. On the battlefield, adaptation was instant, turning partial defeats into decisive victories. Centurions ensured discipline at the lowest level, maintaining absolute control over each unit. Roman reputation often defeated enemies before the first clash even began. Roman siege machines were designed to dismantle walls that seemed unbreakable. An invisible supply network kept armies constantly moving throughout the empire. Brutal training prepared soldiers for long marches and prolonged combat without losing efficiency. The speed of movement allowed Rome to arrive before any enemy could react. Many victories came from planned retreats that fooled overconfident enemies. The real secret was internal cohesion that turned thousands of men into a single force. When everything connected, roads, discipline, and engineering, the Roman army became a nearly unstoppable network. It was this combination of strategy, engineering, and discipline that made Rome one of the most dominant military forces in ancient history, leaving enemies helpless against its total efficiency. The ancient world seemed too vast to control until Rome found a way to move entire armies as if they were a single living organism. It all began with a network of roads built not just for travel, but to support the constant weight of thousands of marching soldiers. These roads were so precisely engineered that an army could advance faster than any enemy thought possible at the time. Each legion was not just brute force, but an organized machine with precise roles to keep constant movement flowing. While they marched, everything was calculated, from the order of soldiers to the exact weight of each piece of equipment carried. Nothing was left to chance, because losing time on the march could mean losing an entire empire. Rome's hidden strength lay in what followed the army, a constant logistical flow of food and supplies. Without this continuous supply chain, no legion could survive more than a few days, far from its bases. That is why Rome built camps every single day, temporary structures that rose like perfect military cities in just hours. The most surprising part is that these camps followed such a rigid pattern that any legion could occupy any position without confusion. Even command signals were visual, using standards that guided the movement of thousands of men at once. A single symbol could reorganize an entire formation without a single spoken word. To keep everything connected, mounted messengers constantly crossed roads, carrying orders across vast distances. And when the sea was faster, Rome used ships to transport troops and supplies on an enormous scale. Entire ports became supply hubs where everything was unloaded and reorganized within hours. In many regions, Rome also used local tribute as a way to feed campaigns without relying on long supply routes. Even military equipment was standardized, allowing rapid replacement anywhere in the empire. This created a crucial, almost invisible detail that made each legion interchangeable and always ready to act. Even river crossings were not obstacles, because improvised bridges could appear in record time. Scouts moved ahead to ensure the army was never surprised by terrain or enemy movements. But the real secret was that Rome did not move just soldiers. It moved entire systems working simultaneously. And when everything aligned, a force of thousands moved with the precision of a single mind. This is how Rome turned distance into advantage and built the most efficient empire of the ancient world.
Work, men, work! Heave! Push it up! Maintain the line!
Before a battle even began, thousands of Roman soldiers were already building an entire military city in the middle of nowhere. What's most impressive is that the Romans could recreate the exact same camp almost every single night. Every space had a precise function because the camp needed to operate like a living war machine. At the center stood the commander's tent, positioned perfectly to control everything around it within seconds. The internal streets were so organized that a soldier could find any sector even during nighttime attacks. Many people imagine military chaos, but life inside Roman camps followed almost obsessive rules. Even garbage was carefully controlled, because disease could destroy an army faster than any battle. The Romans also built mobile kitchens, capable of feeding thousands of men every single day. And almost everything had to be carried by the soldiers themselves across miles of marching. That's why enemies often called the legionaries the mules of Marius. But there was a hidden reason behind that absurd weight: complete autonomy inside enemy territory. The temporary walls were not improvised, because every camp was designed to withstand real attacks. Many enemies realized too late that attacking a Roman camp could be suicide. Inside the tents, 8 soldiers shared the same cramped space for months at a time. And even during moments of rest, discipline never fully disappeared. The Romans understood one essential truth: a tired and starving army loses wars before the battle even starts. Even the animals had their own sectors, because frightened horses could cause disaster inside the walls. There's another little-known detail. The camps also functioned as military intelligence centers. Information about rivers, roads, and food supplies could be worth more than thousands of swords. That's how Rome managed to move gigantic armies through completely unknown territories. And the farther Rome expanded, the more those camps began to resemble permanent cities rising at the edge of the world. Many European cities were born from these military camps, originally built to last only a few days. In the end, Rome's true power was not only in its battles, but in its incredible ability to organize men, food, engineering, and fear all at the same time.